Hi there, Karen Flaherty here from Living by Human Design. Hope you're doing well today. Today we're going to talk about the gate 62, which is all about details. So we started with the sun in gate 62 this morning, July 13th, and it'll go until July 18th. We've also got the earth in gate 61, which is the thinker. And so we finally move away from the root center gates this week, and we get up to here, up to the throat, which is the gate. And here's the gate 62 coming off the top of the throat. And then the 61 is up here coming off the bottom of the head. And this is called the gate of the thinker. And so we're going to be talking about both of those. But basically, we have no defined centers at the start of the week. And the 952 is just in for a few days this week. So that'll create a channel between the sacral and the root center. And so people who are not who aren't usually generators or manifesting generators, they might feel a little sacral energy during the week from the 15th to the 17th. And then the gate of emoting or the channel of emoting comes in on the 18th, but again, just for a short period. If you have any of the other half of these hanging gates, then you might feel the energy of those centers, but otherwise it's a little bit of a quiet week and a little bit of a relief for most of us. Not any, no emotional energy, no sacral energy, and you kind of get to be who you are this week, which is a good thing. So we got this gate 62, which is the gate of details. And in the original I Ching, it's actually called the preponderance of the small, because it's all about the little tiny details, right, of everyday life that we obsess about, right? It can actually be a gate of obsession. And so can the thinker, actually, because the gate 61 is in the thinker, and it's always the question, why? Why are we doing this? Why are you doing that? Why is that happening? And for children, it's interesting. It's a way to learn about the world. For adults, it can get obsessive sometimes. So in fact, in the Gene Keys, Richard Rudd talks about the shadow of the 62 of the gate of details as being intellect. He says that intelligence is of the heart, whereas intellect is of the mind. So he makes the distinction there between intellect, which we usually think of as a positive, right? But he sees it as having to do with the mind, whereas intelligence, understanding, and really getting to know something at a deeper level is much more about the heart and really embracing things with the heart, as opposed to trying to figure them out with the mind. So this gate of details can kind of go in two directions, right? It can be very helpful to know details in some industries and in some projects and careers and things like that. But when we obsess about details in our everyday life, it can become too much and not really where we're supposed to be headed. He also says that precision, which is the gift, is inspirational and original, and such inspiration does not depend on your vocabulary. And so he's thinking about it more as precision in terms of really understanding something and knowing something at a deeper level, right? Not just he uses the example of a tree, for example. You might observe a tree and you might know the name of the type of the tree, and you might know the shape of the leaves, and you might know the height of the tree. Those are details, right? But to understand the tree, to feel the tree, to be in nature with the tree, right? As any of us tree huggers would know, it's a whole different experience. It's about feeling, and the feeling of being in nature, the wind in the tree and the birds in the tree, and the really taking it all in. That's a much different feeling. And so that's not about the details. It might look like it's about the details, but it's at a much higher level. It's almost like feeling the aura, or the expansiveness, or the oneness, if you will, of what's going on in nature or in any other endeavor that you're in. So he also says on this graphic, there's a deeper beauty to our wounding because it's part of our authenticity. So when we get to the level where we're understanding the details, if you will, of our wounding, that's all part of our authenticity, and that's a beautiful thing. So it's a little. I was surprised, and actually, he even says that in the book that people would be surprised to see intellect as a shadow. But in fact, when we get so obsessed with details, and it actually can lead to depression. It can lead to that obsession or depression, or wanting too much of the mental or of the material plane to explain other things that it just can't possibly. So we have some personalities born in this Sun Gate, the 62. It's the incarnation crosses are the right angle cross of the Maya, juxtaposition cross of details, and the left angle cross of obscuration or concealing. And so these are some of the people who were born during that period. Linda Ronstadt, Rembrandt. He was into the details, right? He found the details, and yet he made it expansive. He was able to expand those details to works of art that live on to this day. Priyanka Chopra, Diane Carroll, Sir Richard Branson. Not too surprising that Sir Richard Branson is into the details, right? With so many different companies that he has, and yet the details, in a way, are allowing him to, I guess, try to go into space as well. And so that's an expansive view. I know that he is a philanthropist, more than perhaps some of the other billionaires that are going into space, but he is definitely into the details of his businesses. So this week in history, July 13th to the 18th, we've got a few different things going on. The Live Aid concert was in 1985 during this week to help famine relief in Ethiopia. I do remember that one. I vaguely remember the 1977. Actually, I do remember the blackout in New York City. I was actually at college, and the newspapers didn't come that morning. I was working for the newspaper agency, and there were no New York Times on July 13th, and we couldn't figure out why until we finally heard, around 9 or 10 o'clock, what had happened in New York City with the blackout, and that was a big deal for New York City. July 16th, we had the Apollo 11 astronauts went into orbit. That required a lot of details, right? That certainly required a lot of details, getting to the moon, right? In 1955, Disneyland in Anaheim opened. And on July 18th in 76, the first perfect 10 ever recorded in Olympic gymnastics was achieved by Romania's 4'11", 88-pound Nadia Comaneci on the women's uneven parallel bars. And I do believe I remember that. The 76 Olympics were pretty spectacular. And we're coming up to another set of Olympics next week, which will be a lot of fun to watch. And really, we're sorely missed last year. I'm so glad that we're able to, next week, those will obviously be a lot of details to deal with, and it's probably a good energy this week to have as they set up in Tokyo for the Olympics, because details are needed as you're figuring out all the ins and outs of the Olympics, I'm sure. So I hope the details in your life this week are all sweet and nurturing and gentle for you, and try not to obsess too much on them. Have a great week. Thanks so much. Bye.